Hey there, this is Wojtek Kaczmarczyk, and today we're getting to work on the Nasdaq and the New York Stock Exchange.
I was a market maker for 28 years.
Good math skills come in handy.
I've never been in a place like this in my life.
It was my second big dream, to get on the American Stock Exchange, to be good enough to be listed here.
I analyze constant price movement charts, the most important headlines, and the most popular tweets.
It's not just working here that's impressive, but the whole building. We're on a balcony and I just realized I'm afraid of heights.
We are a large, transparent American public company.
This is Wojtek Kaczmarczyk, and today with the Do Roboti channel, we literally flew to New York to Wall Street. Right here on this street, decisions are made that affect everyone in the world. Make a decision to stay until the end of this video. There's a lot ahead, and we put significant effort into covering the New York Stock Exchange. Fuel prices, inflation, loan installment amounts, all of this is connected to this place. So if you think the stock market isn't for you, you're mistaken. Because every decision made here later affects our wallets. And if you've ever bought or sold something on the stock market, be sure to let us know in the comments.
Loic, Ricardo, does everyone have their badges? We'll start with safety.
We passed a security check before entering the New York Stock Exchange.
Keep an eye on your equipment. Thanks, you made my job easier.
Let's just try to stay together at least until 9:30. And once it's open, we'll have more freedom to go and look around different places. I'll show you around this building. You'll learn about its history and what's happening here. I'll tell you what's going on now because we have some time. But at 9:30, we ring the bell, and when the bell rings, we start trading.
In just a few seconds, you'll hear the bell that you might recognize from the internet, and it will ring to open the stock exchange. As you already know, we're on Wall Street, which is the main street of the financial world in New York. But why Wall Street? Why is it called that?
Wall Street is about finance, trade, capitalism. It's something amazing. And why is Wall Street so famous? Because that's where trading happened. That's where traders gathered in the 18th century to trade goods and agricultural products, and later it developed into building businesses. Companies operate on Wall Street, which is present everywhere, and anyone who works in finance is associated with it. But that building on the corner of Wall and Broad Street is a symbol where big deals are made. Companies are born here where they go public, allowing people to invest. This is where companies grow and tell their story. Banking can be done anywhere outside of Wall Street and associated with it, but this building is a symbol, so it's more of a symbol, and behind us is the center where this trading takes place. For me, Wall Street simply draws from history and has become its symbol. And here at the New York Stock Exchange, we still take companies public every day. We took Figma Circle public this year and Reddit last year. So we give companies a place to tell their story and allow investors to invest in them, and they can raise money to keep growing. This is Wall Street. There are some myths about Wall Street, and we have a bad reputation. Everyone likes to make movies about Wall Street, about how greed is good, and about how people made huge amounts of money as financiers, as bankers, trading stocks. That's true, but we want to make sure we're doing it the right way. I've always been committed to the rules here. There are many things I can't do in business, so you have to play by the right rules. But sometimes there's a myth that everyone here is bad and everyone is really rich. I'm not really rich, but you know, those who have really made it, people like to glorify them and make movies about them, and that's great. People who did crazy things, they make movies about them too, about boring people like me. There's no movie about me. I go to work every day, I trade, and I like it. That won't get many clicks, but I hope that when I talk to retailers, I show them that there are good ways to trade. There are different time frames. Make sure you know your risk. Make sure you manage it properly. But you know, those images of people, you know, jumping off buildings when it's bad, it's really not that bad when people, you know, are driving away in sports cars. We see a few such people, but you can't judge everyone by the same standard. There are many hardworking people who do everything the right way. So this myth that it's just greed and nobody cares, that's not true. There are more ordinary, honest people here than people think. Before the New York Stock Exchange went public, we had only 1,366 members. They owned seats on the exchange, and only those seat holders could trade. They had a club for members here called the Luncheon Club, and we're about to go in there. And it was the biggest restaurant and bar. That's where we went for breakfast, and each company had its own table. We would meet there and talk about the market and everything that was current that day.
There used to be over 500 people on this trading floor today. Well, just a handful. You can count them on one hand. Why?
As technology evolved, it improved, and technology was a wonderful thing. It gave people at home greater access to the market, but with technology comes fewer people. But it's still an important place because more transactions are carried out here. Some of the biggest companies in the world trade here. It's constantly changing, and as someone who has adapted to change, I tell the audience to always look for the next big thing. Always live in the present and don't dwell on the past, because you won't be able to move forward in the future. For 28 years, I was a market maker. If you wanted to buy or sell something like ICE, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, or IBM, you would come to me and I would connect the buyer with the seller, and you could say, I'll pay 10 cents and I'll sell for 20. 15 cents, does that work? Yes, it works. Write it down, raise your hand. Someone gets that ticket, they go to the booth. Your booth, the broker's booths are around the perimeter of this room. We have our friends from Goldman Sachs, my old company, right next door. Hi, Sean, how are you, man? Morgan Stanley, you know, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Freedom and their Sprime Executions team. They receive buy and sell orders, and when they get those orders, especially at the opening, they can send a broker to ask, let's say Chevron, which is trading here, how it looks. And they will use their own judgment whether they want to buy or sell. So brokers represent retail and institutional clients, while market makers represent companies.
In general, not only is working here impressive, but this whole building, all these steel structures you see here on the ceiling are here for a reason. Because back in the old days, when TVs weighed several hundred kilograms, this structure had to support all of that. Today, of course, LED screens don't weigh nearly as much, and all the equipment you see here. So the structures remain, but they no longer support the kind of weight they used to. At the very beginning, I said that the New York Stock Exchange affects everyone in the world, including you viewers of the Do Roboty channel. Why?
Well, stock prices here in New York affect a global audience. So it will impact people in Poland, it will impact people in any country that has contact with American companies. You know, the companies trading here aren't only those recognized in the United States. You know, Coca-Cola, you know, Nike, these are global brands, and it's great that people invest in these companies, not only here in the United States, but also in other markets. So in Poland, if you trust these American companies, if you use them, what kind of Adidas do you wear?
Reebok.
Reebok, okay, those were traded here too. You know, your clothes could be from Lululemon, not your clothes, but Lululemon. You know, American products are known everywhere, and American capitalism has its place here. So these companies, when they go up and down, the tech companies driving AI like like Apple, do you have Apple products? Of course, so these are American companies, and they, you know, first of all, if they're doing well in Poland, it probably means they're doing well globally, and their profits will go up, and people can benefit from that. So when you buy American companies that are traded here in America, when those prices go up and down, it will have an impact on that. And if the stock price goes down, guess what? They might have to raise the prices of iPhones to improve their results, so the stock price goes up. So stock market fluctuations will affect the global economy. Companies that are traded here, global brands, if they're not doing well, they might raise prices, which will affect you at home. And if you invest in American companies, you want them to do well. For me, the S&P 500 is the best way to invest in America. These are the 500 largest companies in the United States, and it's a basket. You're not tied to a single stock. You have a group of the 500 biggest American companies. For me, that's the best way. And yes, what happens globally will affect every nation, and how seriously depends on, their impact in that country.
As I said before, even if you're not interested in the stock market, it's interested in you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I've never been anywhere like this before. More than 500 episodes on the Do Body channel, but never in New York or at the New York Stock Exchange. Walking here on the trading floor, we often see people in similar jackets. What is your role?
I am an NYSE stockbroker for Prime Executions, a subsidiary of Freedom Holdings Corporation. That's our parent company, so what we do is execute orders for our institutional, retail, and program clients. On the buy side, we handle it all. We are a full-service boutique executing orders on behalf of these clients.
As you know, anyone can buy and sell stocks, but to become a real trader, well, you need something more. Now we'll find out if you need to have a bit of a mathematician, a psychologist, or maybe a gambler in you.
You don't have to be some kind of magician if your math skills are really great. You don't have to be someone special, you don't have to be extraordinary, you just need the will to learn, to listen, to pay attention, but you do need to have a very thick skin. In the past, when you first came here, people used to yell at you a lot, often rudely, and they used a lot of swear words towards you. But at the end of the day, it was like, oh, great job, you did really well, let's go for a drink, let's go for a beer. Most people give it a week to see if it works out, but it was really a very primitive place. It just happened, you never sat down, it was loud, and if you were lucky, you got to go to the bathroom once a day. But even though the conditions were tough, and everything happened very fast, very loud, it was extremely overwhelming for the senses. But once you got into the rhythm and knew this was for you, you were paid quite well here. We ate like Vikings every day, the food was delicious, the camaraderie was great, everyone always had your back. When you're here, things like that start to toughen you up. You just get used to it. But like everything else, you don't need any special skills for this. Maybe math, you have to be really quick at counting. I mean, it was an arbitrage business here. There were guys who made it their goal to be arbitrage firms. There was a way to calculate how many shares you got for others, kind of fractional. Some of those people had that ability. They could do the math in their heads, right there in the crowd, during trading, and execute, buy and sell, what they did, cross trades, right in the crowd, just doing it. I was pretty good at math, but I was never shy. I always had a calculator to make sure the calculations were correct when buying and selling. No, I was a high school graduate. I didn't go to college. This place was my school. 36 years of training right here, but what I learned here also helped me in life. How to deal with difficult situations and pressure, how to talk to people, how to deal directly with people in tough situations when you're really overwhelmed, when things aren't going your way.
So, as we've learned, college isn't necessarily required to work at the stock exchange. You can start here from scratch and learn everything. But the most important thing is that we have to work under pressure. And it's not an easy or light job because the risk is quite high. Now we've moved to Times Square, and in just a moment we're going into Nasdaq. And if you're curious how your company can get listed on the biggest stock exchange in the world, then watch this video until the end. Because in just a moment we'll find out whether going public is just about prestige or if it's something more. Can your logo appear next to the logos of the biggest companies in the world like Coca-Cola or Apple? We'll get an inside look at going public from someone who has a ton of practical knowledge. Timur Turlov is the founder of Freedom24, and he'll answer our questions about how to go public, why they decided to list on the Nasdaq, how any viewer of the Body channel can invest in the stock market. Hello.
It was our big dream to enter the stock market in the United States, to be good enough to be listed here, to be transparent enough. When it comes to our financial statements, our internal controls, all disclosures and reporting. I think the American public market is so good because it has a very good regulatory environment and people know they can rely on financial statements and disclosures. So it's not necessary for all companies listed in the United States to be extremely profitable and good. The Securities and Exchange Commission and the markets usually help investors make sure they know what they're buying. So what is the current situation of this business? What is the current business? How is this company dealing with risks? Because it was a big dream to build a company that would be good enough to be here. And finally, I'm lucky enough that we achieved it, and it's been a wonderful journey. We will never be able to predict how difficult it will be to take a company public and to be good enough to get listed on the stock exchange. And not only to go through the IPO process itself, but also to maintain that listing, to grow the company, build our finances, and develop the business, attract new investors, face challenges as they arise, and continue to be transparent, continue to be open to investors, because it's a lifelong responsibility. It's the greatest responsibility to be here and to be a public company.
Many viewers on the Do Robotti channel often work full-time jobs or are developing their own businesses or want to develop themselves financially. And now we'll ask Timur if educational value when it comes to finances is very important. And can an ordinary person, for example, someone watching the Do Robotti channel today, invest on Nasdaq?
I believe that technology is the greatest equalizer of all time. And yes, it's not that difficult anymore to invest in global companies now. You can start with really small amounts of money, a few €100, a few hundred US dollars, to open a brokerage account and invest on the same terms as the big players. But you can't expect that this activity alone will make you rich. This is not a way to make a living, it's rather a way to properly manage your savings. And you have to be patient, you can't be greedy, and you should take things step by step and take care of your financial education. Because now there are so many free opportunities in the markets to learn more about prudent investing. Of course, the best possible investment is investing in yourself, and if you still have the chance to invest effectively in yourself, do it. That will be a much more valuable investment than any public company in the USA.
Okay, thank you very much. My dear friends, as you have learned, well, anyone can do it, but everyone can do it in their own way. We will be going inside in just a moment, so make sure to stay until the end of the video. Behind me, Brandon Tepper is getting ready for the interview. He is the person responsible for data at Nasdaq. We will find out what the stock exchange looked like over the past 100 years, what has changed, how data and information used to be transmitted, and how they are transmitted now. So let's go and talk. New technologies, artificial intelligence, in other words, technological development. How does all of this affect the flow of data on the stock exchange now and over the past 100 years?
If you think about how data was actually delivered, it first started with pigeons carrying data, then it was only through proprietary computer systems in investment banks. And then investors like us would open the newspaper. My grandfather would open the newspaper on Sunday and read the prices. However, today, thanks to modern technology and fast data, we can deliver this to mobile phones. And I think that over the past years, investors have been benefiting greatly from receiving accurate real-time data on their mobile devices. The same data that was available on large institutional trading desks many years ago.
So we know what it looked like over the past 100 years, but what might it look like in a year or in 5 years?
I think that innovation and technology are advancing so quickly. In 5 years, we will be delivering data differently. We won't just be providing fast data through large connections. We will be delivering answers to investors' questions. So thanks to AI and modern technology, that's how we'll be able to deliver data. The time needed to absorb information will be much shorter.
So as we know, this technology is really moving forward, and what has changed over the last 100 years can now change within a year, 2 or 3. I'm interested in some interesting stories from Nasdaq, especially related to data.
What have I seen and what has stuck in my memory? A huge breakthrough. Just a few years ago, our big clients came to us and said, "Hey, we want to have access to your data now. We don't want to wait for suppliers to get access to the data for weeks or months. We want to try this now, but we need immediate access, and it has to be seamless." So we partnered with Amazon AWS and joined forces to deliver access to live streaming data in real time, so our fintech partners and retail brokers have immediate access to it, can try it out and test it. Maybe they want to have access to it forever. Maybe they want to use a third party to connect. Maybe they're not ready to use this data. And that actually changed our business dramatically, because now fintech is what's growing. They could instantly access the data, they had access to try it out, test it in their systems, and decide if they wanted to move forward. Fortunately, many joined.
Now, a question for all viewers of the Do Robot channel. What are 2 or 3 tips on how to keep up with this new technology of data development on the stock market?
My advice, which I often give, is first of all, it's very important to use accurate and high-quality data for investment decisions. Secondly, I think it's very important to diversify your investments. Don't put all your ideas in one basket. And thirdly, work with someone, learn from a mentor, learn from someone who has already done it. Ask for advice, because their experience will help you grow and help you think about investing a little differently.
So, my dear friends, we're repeating it once again. Education and knowledge are the most important things, not only in the field of finance, but in any job you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, great to be here.
Now we will find out how Freedom24 works and what makes it stand out among other brokers and other platforms.
I think we are quite unique because there aren't many online brokers in Europe who have direct access to the New York Stock Exchange, to Nasdaq, to the American stock markets. And we have a brokerage and investment banking license here in the United States. We're not just a fintech company that helps clients open accounts online, get access to money market products, to securities from all over the world, from Europe, from the United States, from Asia, all on one platform. We are a large, transparent American public company with a market capitalization of over $10 billion. I think the future of all this lies in integrated service ecosystems. When you can access all your banking payments, investments, brokerage services, insurance, and products in one place and have a complete picture of your finances, also with the help of AI advisors who can help you analyze your expenses, help you plan your savings better, which will help you balance your portfolio and make investments more predictable for you, to estimate what risks are actually associated with your portfolio. So how can it develop in good and bad conditions? I believe that eventually we will be able to transform into a large, integrated financial ecosystem covering all types of financial licenses. And it can also perform some lifestyle activities, which could be an additional access, like buying plane tickets, going to a concert, or ordering something from e-commerce. Because this is also a global trend, visible in China and in some Asian countries. And I truly believe that super apps will replace standalone solutions.
As I mentioned, not everyone has much money. Some may only have 1,000 zlotys or dollars to invest. So now we'll ask the question, how could someone invest 1,000 zlotys with your knowledge? What should they do to grow?
I should invest it in myself. I should invest in connections. Maybe go to a course, to some workshops, and try to meet people from the industry, people who have knowledge, and start being part of that community. Invest in yourself instead of putting money in the stock market, since it won't make a difference. Many people approach the stock market as a source of easy money, but that's definitely not the case. You have to be very careful to make money and keep your risk appetite much lower. Because if you keep your risk at too high a level, it will turn you into a gambler.
So, as you heard, 1,000 zlotys. It's not much, but it can be invested. Preferably in knowledge education, in various courses, trainings, or let's say meeting with people who have more knowledge than us. So we have a recommendation from a person who really creates big businesses, does big things, so listen up and we'll move on. We're returning to Wall Street and now we're moving to the Trump building, where the headquarters of Freedom Capital Market is located.
All right, welcome to the American headquarters of Freedom here in the Trump building. We're on Wall Street. It's on the 57th floor. This building we're in used to be one of the tallest buildings in all of Manhattan. It's one of the tallest buildings in Lower Manhattan. And it shines because when you look outside, we have a green dome, which really stands out. You can see it from far away across the river. From here, from New Jersey, from Brooklyn, or looking from Midtown, from downtown, this building stands out. So we're really happy to have our family here. We've been here at Freedom for 3 years, and we hope to stay longer. So I wanted to welcome you to our offices. I'll show you my little cubicle and what I look at. As someone who studies the market all day, I look at a lot of screens. That's what I watch all day. I have news channels on. I study Bloomberg. I follow news on social media. Twitter is invaluable for anyone in the trading environment. I watch the constant price action, charts, major headlines, trending tweets, my emails, internal messages, and then, of course, what the TV stations are saying. As someone who appears on television, I have to be prepared, because if I'm going to, let's say, CNBC, I want to know what they're talking about. If I'm going to Bloomberg, I follow what they're talking about, and I also have my own way of doing things. As a market analyst, I follow the sectors, I follow the leading companies from the S&P 500. You need to know the big seven. You better know what Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, Amazon, and similar companies are doing. That's how I get the news. Then I go through a lot of charts, a lot of research, and then I do my own research and write a weekly newsletter. My view isn't as good as everyone else's in this office. When you look around, you'll see the Statue of Liberty from someone's office. Over there, you can see the great state of New Jersey, my home state now. And we really like our offices here. This is our CEO, Albert. We have people here from Poland, Italy, and Spain. He's going to a meeting. I don't want to keep you, but he's running around like crazy on the 57th floor, and we'll go down there and see it. Timur's office is here. So this is part of our traders and inputters. We have our junior specialists here. They work here on the 50th floor on something really important, I guarantee it. Across the street from the New York Stock Exchange. So our team from Prime Executions, we go down there, we meet with them whenever I want. When I need to appear on TV, boom, I can be at the stock exchange in 2 minutes, and for me, that's the best thing. Having this space, and that space is crucial.
And if you, dear viewer, have made it to the very end of this material, I'm really glad. That means it was worth making the whole journey to America in order to create this very interesting episode about working on the stock exchange. So leave a like, comment, just as I asked you at the very beginning. Have you ever traded on the stock exchange? Have you ever bought or sold anything? But also be sure to write whether you like this episode. That will be information for me that it was really worth coming here. So leave a like, subscribe to the Do Roboti channel, and we're moving on literally.